What's up, guys? My name is Darnell Brown. This is my first video. Just wanted to kind of detail what happened today. Today I ran my last meet of the season, the 2016-2017 track and field season. Today's May 27th, and it was probably my worst meet ever. My worst meet ever. It's still kind of a hard pill to swallow. I just ran times that were not me. I tried my best, and my best was not even close to being good enough. But track and field has this capacity to make you feel like you're on the top of the world one year or one season or one track meet, and then it drops you on your ass in the next meet, or the next week or the next year or whatever the case is. But that's how it goes sometimes. You just got to deal with it because that's the sport that we chose. But I just want to kind of put things in perspective. I think talking to yourself, and hopefully when I look back at this, it'll kind of make me feel better, because I can tend to be hard on myself. But I tend to enter meets with the mindset that as long as I try my best, everything is okay. In the past I used to be so caught up with time, so caught up with coming in first place. And of course, with track and field being a sport that it is, it's either your first or your last, right? It's either your top three you can medal, or you don't make it to the finals. But I think it's very important to realize that, it's all about doing your best. I can't run his best, I can't run her best. I can only run how fast I can run that particular day. I think your best, it changes every day. Just like I said, today I tried my best, but it wasn't good enough at all. When you're talking about season's best, personal best, it wasn't good at all. But when I ran my PR, that was my best. And it's just, with track and field, it's this constant battle of measuring up. You have 1 through 8 lanes for sprinting, and as much as you want to do your best in your lane, if someone's ahead of you, you want to chase them. If someone's behind you, you don't want them to pass you. And it can kind of get stressful sometimes. This year has been a very interesting year. It was my first year competing as an unattached athlete without my school. I graduated with my bachelor's degree 2016 from my university. Not to say my college was the best school in the world, but I got it done. We got it done. I definitely didn't have the best coach in the world. He was more like a supervisor, if that, respectively. And but I think the one thing that was unique about the situation at my school was that the athletes were more for each other than most schools. We had the ability to kind of come together and kind of build off of each other and help each other when things got tough in practice. There will be times, especially in my situation or in other people's situations, where we didn't have training partners. I was a 1-2-4 sprinter, and there was no one I can run with in the 400, 200, or 100 that was of my, I guess, caliber. I don't want to make it seem like I'm tooting my own horn or anything, but there was no one who had the kind of times that I was running that I can train with. So it got difficult sometimes, but we made it work. I made it to nationals to close out my senior year, and I PR'd running 10.66 at nationals. I was extremely excited, especially because I strained my hamstring about 2 or 3 times that season. And it was tough, it was very, very tough, but I came out PR'd by a huge margin, and I was so excited about it. Now to fast forward to the fall of 2016, I made the decision to, go from my home in Atlanta and kind of temporarily relocate to East Texas so that I can train with a coach over there. The coach is a great coach, a phenomenal coach. Knows what he's doing. I'm a real stickler for coaches having the passion for the sport and knowing what they're talking about. Because I feel like if you don't have the passion for anything, if you have the passion for a particular sport or just anything in general, you're going to want to learn about it. You're gonna wake up thinking about it. You're gonna go to sleep thinking about it. And I think he was definitely one of those coaches. So I relocated to train with him, and from day one, training was hard. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was the hardest background training I ever had to deal with. Tons of plyometrics, tons of after practice not being able to walk, sore, being sore for the whole week, just craziness. And but it is what it was. That's how you get better. And I definitely got better. I got more explosive. I was so excited for the season, and I had a great set of teammates from Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, Americans that I was training with, and it was just dope. It was a great feeling for that. It was a great feeling to know that the work that I'm putting in now was going to show in the spring semester. But unfortunately, not all things planned comes to fruition. So I trained with him in October. I trained with him in November. I trained with him in December, and unfortunately, January came, and through miscommunications and through just people being immature, unfortunately, I couldn't train with him anymore. And it's unfortunate because a lot of my teammates who I was training with, they're super talented, work super hard, and they were opening up with some crazy times when it was time for them to hit the track. And I have work ethic. If I don't have anything, I have work ethic. And not training with him wasn't something that I was prepared for. I've trained by myself before, and if anyone knows the sport of track and field, it can be difficult. You can only push yourself so hard without seeing a body in front of you. If you don't have a coach to call out your splits, to call out your splits to motivate you when you're down. Those days when it's 32, 31 degrees outside and you're the only person, twirling on the track, it gets difficult, and you have to have a special mindset for that. And I tried, I definitely tried, and I worked my ass off when I stopped training with him. January, February, and I ran my first meet, and it wasn't what I thought it would be. It's one of those meets where it's just like it was practice. You look at the time, it's like, I could have ran this in practice, but it's like, why did you run it in the meet then? And it was very frustrating, to say the least. You have certain expectations of yourself for the season. Beginning of the season, you set those goals high. Like, hey, when the first meet comes in March or February, this is what I'm gonna run. You have that faith that the work that you're doing, the training that you're putting in, is gonna benefit you for the long run in order to you to accomplish your goals. And it's sad to say that I opened up in a time that did not reflect any of the goals that I had set for myself. It didn't reflect any of the tiresome training I was putting myself through in the fall. And I don't know what was wrong, but in track and field, sometimes you just got knocked that rust off the first meet. So the second meet came, and I ran a tad bit faster, but it was frustrating. It was frustrating. To kind of give you an insight time-wise, my PR is a 21.86 in the 200. I opened up outdoor season with a 22.97. I never open up in a 22.9 anything. I usually open up in a 22.1, a 22.2, maybe a 22.3 at the slowest. But I open up in a 22.97. That is ridiculous. And I had to keep the faith. I was so upset with myself, but because things weren't matching up. I was running my 60s and my 80s in practice very fast out of blocks. Running 6.7, 6.8 seconds hand time. Even on video, I would videotape my practices coming out of blocks, and it would say 6.7 when I slowed it down on my computer, and I go to a meet and I'm running 11 flat. Again, I ran 10.66 the year before, so it's like, what's going on? Was I not as strong as I was? Was I not as strong as I was last year? Like, is it what I'm doing in practice? What is it? And I want to say it was a depressing time, but it was a very upsetting time. I was very frustrated with myself, and it just made me, train harder in practice. I ran at the Texas relays. No, not Texas relays. I ran at the Texas what meet is it? TSU relays, excuse me, in Houston. It was a kind of glimmering, it was a big improvement. I ran a 10.83, which was a solid time. But still, it still wasn't that satisfaction that I was looking for. Running a 10.66 last year, I was expecting to open up in at least a 10.5, or at least match my PR, or 10.6 something, maybe 10.7 at the slowest. 10.8 is, it's one of those situations, again, in track and field, where the work that you put in the fall dictates a lot of what's going to happen in the spring. And the things that I was doing in the fall, it gave me that belief that I can do something great when the spring comes. And it just didn't happen the way I thought it was. Again, fast forward and I ran another meet. I ran 10.9. Another meet, I ran 10.9 again, and I went 22.2. And when I ran 22.2, it was a big improvement in my season. But again, you want more. 22.2 isn't, in the scheme of things, 22.2 is not what I was looking for. I opened up in a 22.1, 22.2. And I don't want to pat myself on the back just because I'm progressing. But at the same time, one thing I can say about all of these meets is that I tried my best in each one. I gave 100% in each one. I looked at the practices I was doing. My times were solid. But it just something was off. Something was off. And fast forward to now, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm back home, and I just ran in a meet, and definitely wasn't what I was looking for. I ran 2 meets while I was in Atlanta. My first meet, I went 10.85, slowing up to a sore hamstring. My left hamstring was kind of tight when I tried to go into another gear, and so I kind of backed off. I went 10.85. So I'm thinking, if I can go 10.85, kind of backing off like after 80 meters, then I should, pressing, I should definitely be able to go 10.7 low, 10.6, which is at least how I want to finish off my season. So then, today is the second meet of my last meet, and I go out and I run the 100. I feel like in a solid, it felt solid. I ran into a headwind, and I went 11.20. Now, guys, 11.20 is a time that I can run in practice. Like from a standing start in rain, like it's not a good time at all to be running at a meet. And it did not feel like 11.20 though when I ran it. And this is me being like honest. I was reluctant to even say times, so don't murder me too much when it comes to these times. But and then I ran the 200 and I went 23.2. Both of them were in headwinds, like really heavy headwinds, but regardless of what they were in, they do not reflect the work that I put in. The work that I put in, and it gets frustrated. It gets very, very frustrating. And I just wanted to be I guess I'm recording this to get a sense of how I feel. I'm also recording this to kind of tell people, no matter what kind of times you run at the end of the season, no matter what kind of expectations you have for yourself, I think you should always ask yourself one question at the end of a race, at the end of a practice, at the end of a season. No matter what the apparent disappointment is, or no matter what how you feel like immediately afterwards, you should always ask yourself, did I try my best? Was that my best race? And if you can say yes every time, then there should be no more question about what's going on. You'll always, I'm not talking about like how could I do to improve or stuff like that, but whenever you're feeling down for yourself or down about yourself, just ask yourself simply, did I try my best? And I think if you can answer yourself that like in a proper tone and say yes, with like being honest with yourself, and you can say yes, then that's all you can do. Like, people can comment on whatever they want. A lot of people, they look down on on stuff on certain times, and they you know, they look down on how fast or slow people run. Look, as long as you can ask yourself honestly, did you run your fastest race? And you can say yes. Did you run the fastest race that you can today? And you can say yes. Then you're good to go. You know. So I guess I'm making this video to kind of tell myself, did you run your fastest race? And to answer honestly, yes, I did. Was it my best? No. Was it my best in the scheme of like PRs and stuff? Of course not. But was it my best today? Yes. And I think as the days and the weeks go by, I can kind of maybe plan into the future of how to avoid situations like this. I'm gonna take a look at my logbook and see what happened. Did I misplan things? You know, did I train the wrong way? You know, there's all kinds of reasons why a 10.6 sprinter would be running 11.2 in this final meet. We're supposed to be peaking, and why a 21.8 sprinter would be running, you know, 23.2 at his last meet, running 100%. You know, but in all honesty, I did try my best, and I just wanna, like I said, give you guys that that thought process to kind of think on, as a lot of you guys this season either has come to an end or is coming to an end. So so yeah, peace guys. You know, I just want to lay that on you. Hopefully I can come with some more videos. So this is my first one, so you know, don't go too crazy on me. All right, peace.